And welcome. This is News of Interest with John Ubel. Today is Monday, January 31st, 2011. Today I'm going to be interviewing one of my good friends. Todd owns and operates a small business down in St. Petersburg called Riptide Pool Services, and I'm going to be patching him through here. Todd, are you there?
Can you hear me? Yes,
Yeah.
I'm here. I can hear you loud and clear.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I had floated this idea to you a few days ago about doing an interview because I have to be honest with you, you're one of the few people that I know that still has a business. I've actually had quite a few friends over the last few years lose their businesses, and there's only just a couple left. I can literally count them on one hand that still have businesses. So now, there's just so many challenges facing business today, and before I jump into those, I just want you to tell me a little bit about the business that you do and the area that you cover.
Yeah, no problem. Well, the business is Riptide Pool Services. We do mainly pool cleanings and chemical care. And we also do leak detection, which is actually leaks are actually pretty common. I think they're more common than people think, but we stay busy doing that. I am certified to do both residential and commercial swimming pools, and also have the liability insurance, and like I said, all the certifications to do those as well. The commercial pools are a little bit different because they actually get checked by the Pinellas County Health Department, and so you really have to know what you're doing. There's a lot of other companies out there. I won't mention any names, but there's other pool companies that do residential only, and actually a lot of consumers might not know this, but they actually don't have to have any sort of certification to do that. They can just go down and get a business tax license, which is just really just a tax you have to pay to be able to open up a business in the county, and then they can actually start, taking care of people's swimming pools. So it's important for people to keep that in mind, especially if they have young children. It is important to have the water chemistry balanced properly to prevent skin irritations and even bacteria outbreaks and things like that. So you want a qualified technician out there to do that. But yeah, and then the business, we service all of Pinellas County, pretty much from Bel Air, Bluffs, and Clearwater down to Gulfport and Terra Verde area. So it's a pretty large area.
Wonderful. Yeah, I have to say it's amazing that you've been able to stay in business because, like I said in the intro, it's just so many businesses have been wiped out. But obviously, you're doing something right because you're still in business. So,
well, it is tough. It is very, very tough out there. I mean, there's a lot of different challenges, and I'm sure we'll go over them here during this interview. I'd be happy to share them with you. There's a lot of benefits to owning and operating a business today, because you have a lot of tools to your advantage, like with the computers and with software that allows you to do invoicing and your taxes and things like that. But it seems like for every tool that you have available to help the business, there's people that want a piece of the pie and that try to make things difficult for you. It really puts up a challenge when you're operating especially a small business, I think, because the margins are, they're not very big, and you don't make as much money as the larger corporations.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, you're not a Fortune 500 company. Otherwise, you could get a multi-million or multi-billion-dollar 0% interest loan from the Fed. But small businesses don't get breaks like that. Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's amazing. Even being a small business owner, I do tend to follow the financial markets, and I'm not an expert by any means, but I try to at least keep keep on top of it somewhat, reading the papers and things like that, and some online websites. But yeah, there's not much help out there for the small business. That's for sure. You definitely, like you just mentioned, you hear about the government bailing out, a lot of banks and a lot of financial investment firms and a lot of retail outlets or outfits. But I haven't read too much about a lot of small businesses being helped too much by the government, unfortunately. So hopefully that'll change in the near future, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns out there at this point. What would you say some of your biggest challenges are facing your business? You don't have to go too far into detail with them.
Yeah, no, I would just say, one of the biggest challenges is the instability that exists right now. And I've talked to a few other business owners, and they say the same thing. Nobody really knows what's going to happen in the near future. And so whether it be with health care, with taxes, with a lot of different things. So there's so many different there's so many things going on with the government, with whether it be a war in Iraq or a war in Iran, or you have this thing going on right now with Egypt. It could affect oil prices. Oil prices in return, can affect what you pay for all your products. So, do you want to hire employees when there's a good chance that the cost of your goods could really go up dramatically in the near future? So you have to kind of look at the big picture. I think a lot of small businesses, unfortunately, I wouldn't say a lot of them, but there are a few of them that don't really pay attention. The owners don't pay attention to the global markets, that much, which they should, because all these things will affect their business eventually. And I think something I try to do is I try to pay attention to everything that's going on in the world and in the local news as well, and just do the best I can to try to prepare for that. But it's difficult because you really do need to increase prices to keep up with the rising cost of gas. Gas I just paid like $3.10 a gallon the other day. It's really ridiculous how expensive it is, and those costs aren't coming down. The cost of food, the cost of everything. So this all affects your bottom line, and at the same time, everybody else is hurting right now with the way the economy is and the way the job market is. A lot of people are out of work. So, to try to raise prices right now it's not the best time to do that. So it really presents some challenges for the small business owners, for sure. I know large corporations feel it as well. They can they just downsize, and they'll put more work on the employees that they do have remaining. So one employee might have the job of, say, two or three other people that they let go. But that's how the corporations can keep their profits high. But unfortunately, with the small business, it's a lot more difficult to do that.
Yeah, you have less resources available, less people. It makes it more difficult. That much is for sure. Now,
but just going back to your original question, it's I think it's just the instability is the biggest or is the most difficult thing that we have that we're facing right now in the small business community.
There's one thing I want to touch on about the Egypt crisis, but before we move on, I just watched a short news clip from ABC News, and they were saying that if this chaos in Egypt doesn't wash out here within the next couple of days, they're saying that the average gas prices will go up at least 20 cents. They were saying within the next 2 weeks, and they were saying that they're going to stay at that level because of the reduced flow of oil that's going to be shipped through the Suez Canal, and I guess there's some pipeline that also runs somewhat parallel to the Suez Canal, and the pipeline I think it's about $1 million barrels a day that goes through the pipeline, and almost 2 million barrels a day that gets shipped through the Suez. So that's actually it's going to make things a little bit more difficult. It's definitely going to eat up the profit margin a little bit more. So, but you're definitely right on about the thing about how the increase in gas raises your cost of goods because everything gets shipped in. It's not like they're producing chlorine in Pinellas County or even in the state of Florida. I would imagine that most of that stuff comes from out of state, just like everything else for the most part. So it definitely drives the cost up. Now, I have to ask you because I'm kind of curious. When you go write an estimate for repairing something or a new service or anything like that, what would you say like the number one rejection is from potential customers or customers that are going to do jobs?
Number one reason why people would not want to go ahead and get the swimming pool service, is that what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, what are some of the rejections that you're hearing? Are they related directly to the economy? That type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, because typically if somebody does call me, I mean, they're already looking for it, but yeah, I definitely have reached out with my marketing campaigns to individuals and to businesses, and some of the responses, if I get a negative response, it's mainly due to the economy and to the lack of jobs that are out there for people. It's really hard to, one of the things that happened during the housing boom is a lot of the houses that were being built, they used to not do this, 30, 40, 50 years ago. When they built a house, they usually didn't put in a pool. But, they actually started doing that during the housing boom. A lot of these newer houses came with swimming pools. And then people would buy them, and they had no idea of the kind of maintenance that was involved with them. So, and then, of course, the markets took a nosedive, and people started losing their jobs. And, when times were good, hey, I got a pool, they can go out and get a pool service. They can afford to pay for that. And now it's very difficult. You have a lot of times within a family, you have at least one person not working. Either they've been laid off or whatever. And then in some cases, you have both adults not working in the household. So right there, I mean, that's probably the number one reason, why people and then so they do try to take care of the pool themselves, but unfortunately they realize pretty quickly that it's a lot more than they can handle. So and it's very expensive if you don't know what you're doing. The advantage of hiring a professional is they're going to fine tune it. They have it down to where they can add just what's needed, because with water, it's all about balance, and you can actually overdo it. You can add too much of one thing, which will throw everything else off, and also it'll waste money. So that's really what it's about, is fine tuning the chemicals to get in there, to get into the pool exactly what you need. And I mean, just like with everything else, the cost of chemicals is going up really, really quickly. And so that plays a big part of it.
Let me ask you this. I mean, since going back to January 2010 to now, how much has chlorine increased in price? Because I know you buy the jugs of them typically.
Yeah, it's sold by the gallon.
Okay, that's right.
And so you're saying from January 1st, 2010?
Well, basically a year ago from, let's just say,
right,
from today.
Yeah. I would say that it's probably gone up 30% at least.
Yeah, that's substantial.
That's my cost. So,
I really wonder. I don't know the process how chlorine is produced, but I imagine there's oil somewhere along the way that they use the equipment to run it to make the chlorine, or or however they
Yeah.
do it. I just don't know enough about the chemistry, but I imagine that oil is actually in the process, and then it gets shipped to you, and then so you're getting
Well, just
you're
the
getting hit
shipping
twice
alone
there.
just the shipping alone is very expensive on all these products. Do you know that we actually purchase a lot of the chemicals from China, and
Oh wow.
a lot of the American companies do. So I always try to buy American brands when I can. A lot of distributors don't even carry American-made products, and a lot of them aren't even produced here because of all the regulations. They can make a lot of this stuff in China, and the regulations on the businesses over there are more relaxed than here. So you can actually buy stuff like this. Yeah, you can buy like the chlorine tabs over in China for less than what they can produce them here. So yeah, it's just one more challenge for us, and I know like my distributors are really feeling it too, because I've noticed that the stuff, the prices that they give me, I mean I can buy it for a little bit less than what most people can buy on the internet. But yeah, I know some customers do. There are some things like automatic pool cleaners and things like that a customer can buy some of that stuff for almost the same price on the internet. So it's just one of those things. So the distributors are also feeling it, because that's something else that's kind of changing the whole dynamic of the way businesses operate, is the internet, and with being able to buy goods from all over the world, literally. And if you get a good deal on shipping and maybe the tax break, depending on where you buy it, then sometimes you can get some pretty good deals. It does take extra time, and some of the downsides of buying stuff online is that if something happens to it, good luck trying to get it returned and get a replacement, or if you have to find parts for it or something like that, that can be a real challenge. So I try to explain to my customers that if you do purchase something through me, then if something goes wrong with it, I take care of it, no questions asked. So you don't have to go through the hassle. But a lot of people are on a budget, and they're just looking at what the stuff costs, and that's the biggest thing on their mind. So yeah, it's definitely can make it a little bit interesting trying to run the business day to day.
Yeah, everyone is trying to save what they can. A lot of penny pinching going on. It's definitely becoming the new normal. Now, I just want you to point out. Now, you've been in business since 2002?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so you started in 2002. Now, the last question that I really have here, and of course we don't have a crystal ball, but now where do you see yourself 12 months from now?
Yeah, that's a tough question, because it really depends on what happens. Globally and locally here in the Tampa Bay area, on a national level, and even on a global scale. That's the big problem. Nobody knows. Will gas prices be $6 a gallon in a couple months? I mean, theoretically, it could happen. We don't know for sure, but yeah. So I it could go a lot of different ways. I think if things kind of chug along like they are now, where you have almost like a I can't think of what they call it, but it's not really like it's almost like stagnation, or a stagnated economy. If that kind of happens, yeah, I mean, I guess I could pay my bills and get by the skin of my teeth, kind of like what is going on now. I definitely don't expect any kind of humongous boom like we had back in 05, 04, 06. I don't expect anything like that. I guess the best we can hope for is that we have maybe 1.5% to 2.5% growth. I would hope for that. And if we have that, then I guess I can't complain too much. But yeah, that's kind of the situation we're in right now. I talk to people all the time, and and everybody's waiting for this thing to turn around, like it's going to happen tomorrow when they wake up, and crawl out of bed, and all of a sudden the economy is booming again. And I just don't think that's going to be the case. I know most business people they teach you to be optimistic. It's the first rule. And I'm mainly an optimistic person, and you know that about me, John. As we've known each other for a while. But I'm also a realist, and I like to look at things for what they are, and you got to try to make adjustments for that within your business. If you kind of just if you don't look at what's going on, then you're not going to be prepared for the future. And so I think that's kind of like what we have to do, is look at things for what they are and plan accordingly.
Yeah, I would agree with that absolutely. It makes it given the current state of the national economy and even the local economy and the global economy, it makes it far more difficult to plan ahead. So we can only do the best we can with what we have to work with. Well, that's going to do it for this show, Todd. I want to thank you for joining me.
No problem.
And thank you. And I want to thank all my listeners for tuning in. And please be sure to visit Todd's website, which is riptidepoolservices.com. That's riptidepoolservices, one word, .com. Thanks for listening, and take care.